All right, and Zoom told me in a sweet voice we are recording. So first off, thank you so much for joining in on this. My plan is for this to be incredibly helpful. I think, I believe, even if you were to read this book on your own, you're going to get some great ideas. But I hope discussing together in a group, A, makes it a little more social, and B, we can sort of fire off other ideas, because the grand plan here is to take it back to your colleagues, not even in your team. They could be different curriculum, etc. So let's get started. First of all, I'm going to share my screen. Okay, what can you guys see?
Got it.
Okay, so you see the PowerPoint? Nice. So far, so good. Okay. First, I am Shayna Cutt, and I have been in administration. And before that, I was in the classroom as an English teacher and a literacy resource and instructional coach. So we are playing at my passions here, people. But please know that even though I'm an English teacher in my heart, the idea of instructional coaching goes everywhere. So this is not an English activity. This is an instructional shift activity, okay? So what you'll need is, I'd love you to have a notepad or scratch paper. You can even fold it up and stick it in your book. I don't care if you're neat and tidy or messy with it. If you decide you're not going to write anything down, okay, I won't take points off. It's totally all right. And then what I would love for you to do is kind of make a habit with the bookmark of once you finish a chapter, kind of put your ahas in there, but we'll revisit that a little bit later. Let's see, next. Okay, so today we're going to do the foreword in chapters 1 and 2. Incidentally, I wanted to check with any of you and see, I believe competition is healthy. So first one to put something in chat is going to be the big winner. Now you may ask, what do I win? Well, I'll tell you. At this point, you're going to win bragging rights. You're going to win glory. Okay. But first one to put in the chat that the typo that they see on the bookmark wins bragging rights and glory, just to start off with. Anyone?
There's not a space.
Oh, there is. And here's the deal. I'm going to blame the typo, not on my own weakness, although I'm not perfect. I'm going to blame the typo on autocorrect. If you notice, it says for June 8th, we're going to read the foreword, FORWARD. In fact, the book has a foreword, a beginning word, a word before. So it's actually, it should be FOREWORD. See that? All right. So right now I'm the typo maker and I've got the glory. All right. That doesn't really matter. Next up, some meeting norms. Just FYI, this is so that we can actually be a group. We're going to meet once every 4 weeks, or once a week, 4 times. And next time, by the way, we've got a few more who are coming. They just add, one had like jury duty and one is in the military and had to be gone this week only. So we'll have some more friends next time. But some important norms for us. We do want to respect all voices and consider other people, right? None of us are perfect, but we've all got great ideas, and that's the beauty of collaboration. Also, please use your camera whenever possible, because then we can see you smiling, or we can see you perplexed, or we can see you starting to get steamed up by what someone said. But I do understand that if you have a bandwidth issue, sometimes audio is the best we can do. That's fine. Also engage. You will be in a few breakout rooms, very informal. Listen, the only thing better than this would be if I could have you all over to my house and we'd sit crisscross applesauce on the carpet. So just imagine we're very informal and we're sharing ideas here, okay? We do very hard and very important work. So no formality here. And then do try to reduce distractions. Like if you have a dog named Bowie who's angry at the FedEx people, get him out of here, okay? Okay. All right. So quick activity, nothing stressful. I would like in the chat for you to tell us where you're from and what's your content area. And then while you're at it, go ahead and rename yourself so you have your name and your content area in your name. Everyone know how to do that? Authentic test here. Let's see if it gets done. So glad we've got a science person. Yay. I believe we have pretty much an ELA team from Okmulgee who will be joining us. Yay, more science. And I'm only excited about that because science teachers, when we talk about reading and writing in the disciplines, science teachers, next to math teachers, really, science teachers, they've got journals, they've got charts, they've got things they do in science that a lot of science teachers don't consider, you know, literacy, but it is. I've had this argument just with a few science teachers. I mean, obviously you have to read journals and whatnot, but what a scientist does is pretty impressive. Reading specialist. Hi, Terry. Okay. Instructional coach. Sweet. Kim, you are going to take this to the whole place. Can't wait. All right, guys. Also, I'd like for you to feel comfortable enough to unmute and blurt out anytime. I'm a blurter. I welcome blurting. Okay. Thumbs up from everyone. Blurt as you like. Good. Okay, good. All right. So first activity, we have our book with us. We have maybe a little notepad and something to write with, and then we've got our small groups. What I'd like you to do right now is think about the foreword. I absolutely loved the foreword, especially spelled correctly, but it spoke to me. I hope that you guys found it also kind of an honest and compelling reading. What I want you to do is share in your breakout groups. I would like each person in your breakout group to share one response to one of these prompts. Okay, so we're going to identify an assumption the author has, something you agree with, something you would argue with, or something you would act upon. So really, this is just responding to it. Now, I know one of our people, one of you guys has not received your book yet. I'm heartbroken about that. Sorry, it ought to be coming. I believe I mailed it out Wednesday or Thursday at the latest. So just sit in a group with someone and you'll hear about the forward. It'll be great. Okay, everyone know your job? Okay. I'm going to send you to breakout groups now. Get ready to share. I'm gonna send breakout groups. Yep, here we go. Breakout groups. I'm doing it. It's my first time. So excited. Okay, bye. See you in a minute. How do you go into it? I created them. Go. Hello? You guys are in my room. Hello? Carrie, Kimberly, Barbara? Hey there, we just went into breakout rooms, but we'll be back in just a minute. Okay.
Sorry, I was in one of them, but it kicked me out of it. So here I am.
Oh, hi. Okay, then. So I am what you would call breakout room beginner. I'm just glad I made them and someone got into them. How to send people back into it? You got me.
That's okay.
Oh, unassigned. Oh, wait, I see it. Kimberly? Carrie? Hey there. Okay, we're almost back. Got a few people still to come back, I believe. Okay. Would anyone like to unmute and just tell us what your group, really just one response or one thing that came up?
Integrating literacy across the board.
So that's Juanita. What did you say?
Yes,
What did you say, Juanita?
I was talking about integrating literacy across curriculum literacy.
Excellent. Deborah, were you going to share as well?
Well, I was thinking, I was just sharing the assumption that I thought that the author had made in the foreword was that things, when she first started, how she was real excited. And, you know, every time I explain this, I explain it in a different way. So even my group is hearing something new. But she went from one perspective and she really liked it. And then we started going, you know, she noticed that we seem to have gone into a dark age. Okay.
Yep.
And now we're climbing back out of it. But allowing the students to partake in their own learning. So I think that was an assumption that she had made and stated, and there goes the book.
Agreed. And here we go with the rest. Let's see. Yes, absolutely. All right. So, oh, we already did that, didn't we? Okay, next. All right. So I'd like to throw this out at you guys. Okay. This is a prompt. Consider it. Okay. At the first staff meeting of the year, so it's August, we're going back to school. Your administrators announced that this year all teachers will teach reading and writing. So take a moment, just sketch. What's your immediate reaction, your thought? What does it mean? What will it look like? What do you say to this? Your administrator says that. And then I'm throwing you back into breakout rooms so that you can be honest. Be quick and share quickly, okay?
I don't know what happened, but when we switched over to the breakout, I lost my camera. I don't know, and I don't know how to get it back.
Okay, let's try, do you see kind of a line at the bottom where you can, you know what, maybe I can do it for you. Let's see, participants. You are, what's your name? Who are you?
Deborah.
Deborah Austin, yeah.
Deborah Austin. Let's see.
She's laughing, Katie.
It says your video is on.
I know.
Austin's a little technical unsavvy. We're used to her, so.
We're only laughing at you.
I'm here, you guys. I'll let you know if I'm concerned about something.
Oh, thank you. So here's the deal. Zoom thinks your camera's on, so it may be a computery thing and not a Zoomy thing. All right. So, hey, how many of you responded positively to everyone's going to teach reading and writing? Okay. Well, then let me ask. Let's see who's here. Unmute. Could you? Let's see who in the cap with the braids. Yes. Share with us, what do you think it means if a principal says we're all going to teach reading and writing?
I think just to expose students to different types of literature, and I teach ELA, so I'm already expected to teach reading and writing, but just even in the science, as the book mentions, the type of literacy that they would be exposed to. Scientists are going to read differently than authors are going to read, or mathematicians are going to read. So just making sure that students are being exposed to different types of texts throughout their classes, I think would be really beneficial for them.
So I agree with you totally. Do you think, and this isn't quite on the agenda, but do you think that principals who say we're all going to read and write across the, whatever class it is, you're all going to read and write. Do you think that principals have a clear idea that reading and writing looks different in different places?
I think it just depends. I feel like my principal would.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it really just depends on the principal. I know some who probably would not know or be aware of the different or the importance of reading across all of the classrooms.
Well, and math and science teachers, I'm sure, are like, don't tell me on. That's for the English teacher to teach reading and writing.
Actually, in our school that I work in, we're required to teach it. It's just one of those things. I mean, when it comes to informative essay writing, who better? A science teacher.
Love it. Agreed. Now, English teachers and science teachers really do have probably different tasks and different jobs in how do we write an essay. So I think it's great for students to hear from a science teacher what we do in science and an English teacher what we do in English. So, I mean, here we go. We're on our journey now. All right. Thanks, guys, for doing that. All right. Let's look at a few things here. Disciplinary literacy. You guys have read this chunk, but these are the important points I want to make sure we take away. It involves the use of reading, reasoning, like all these things, investigating, speaking, and writing. All of those things that are required to learn and form complex knowledge appropriate to a particular discipline. Our author says that teachers must be given permission to use their professional expertise, preferably within PLCs or with colleagues, in selecting texts, curriculum, and tasks that push students beyond superficial facts to deeper understanding through immersion in reading, writing, thinking, and social practices. Take a moment, and in the chat, I want you to write, and this is a safe space, we're not going to tattle. I want you to write either yes or no if you feel you and the teachers at your site have this permission. That's beautiful. So you are empowered as experts to choose what to use to ensure your students learn. Now, of course, we've got standards we have to ensure, right? Those standards then should drive us in our choices we make. But now this book is kind of all about making those choices and what are the things we can use. You guys are in a very, very lucky group, okay? Because a lot of folks, here's your scope, your sequence, these are the standards, and these are the materials. This is the state approved curriculum, this is what you'll use. So you guys are in a great spot. This book, these first couple chapters tell us about a new view of reading. Reading within a discipline doesn't mean simply unlocking the text or answering questions related to comprehension. It means students read for a purpose and consider what they are reading in light of the context and content. More important, they learn how to apply the knowledge they have gained through reading. So, what should our students be reading? And this book is really, I mean, it is just very clear about authentic texts. As a content area teacher, your job is to make engaging, disciplinary relevant texts available to your students and give them time to read. That can be the tricky part for some teachers, right? A, picking something out. B, ensuring there's time for it. C, making sure it's relevant. It can't just be a random island. It needs to matter. So that's where your expertise comes in. Not only are you expected to be an expert in your content area, you need to be an expert really in learning. Like, what will help my students learn this? And then now I have to go find a piece that will bridge that for them.
And Shayna, I think that this book definitely makes the case for every classroom should have a classroom library with periodicals and books.
Periodicals count as reading.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, there are so many, especially for our older kids, but our middle school kids too. They need to see a shelf with books on it that have titles connected to the things you're an expert in. It's a social statement. It's you telling them that you're interested in stuff and you want them to be interested in stuff too. So also keep in mind as we read this book, Disciplinary Literacy, we're not just getting students through to the next grade. We're training, in your mind, you're training and mentoring future scientists, future literary critics. You're training, you're mentoring, okay? So they are basically doing internships with you. That's kind of the way to think of it.
And I think for someone my age, it would be the kids teaching me how to do a blog because they're going to know a lot better than I would.
Yes. Well, I mean, I'm pretty much counting on everyone around me to teach me how to do breakout rooms and things like that. So, all right. So here's one of the things kind of featured in our reading is authentic reading every single day. Now, if we think about a student going from class to class, will they be reading in every single class? I mean, my dream would be yes. Now, it won't be 60 minutes of reading. It may just be 5-minute chunks, but we want to have children make meaning from text regularly. We should associate knowing how to do this business thing, this technology thing, this musical thing, with also understanding that reading's a part of it, because that's how we'll always learn more. So pages 33 to 57 basically take us through 5 really good ways to ensure reading happens every day. And what I love about how this book is organized is we kind of get the why it works, the how it works, and then some quality examples. So I hope while you guys were reading this, you were envisioning how to sort of shift your practice in utilizing some of these things. So we're going to play today with a little bit of the current event short takes, making disciplinary learning relevant. So current events, I'll never forget. I found a very quick little piece on some strange new animal that they found that could camouflage itself like a lizard could, but it wasn't a lizard. And I didn't really have a purpose for it in my English class, so I shared it with a science guy, and they read it. It was a short little article, and they read it in biology, and they kind of had some fun with it because they were looking at adaptations and things like that. So can we read in any? Yes, we can read in any content. And what's exciting is when we find new things. Do you guys remember when they found the dinosaur with a feather? And we were like, holy cow, you know, it's a chicken. Anyway, I'm not an archaeologist or an anthropologist, but I was excited. I really wish I could have gotten that. Okay, anyway, so we've got 5 paths to incorporating reading every single day in any class whatsoever. The trick here is teacher has to be kind of on the lookout for something good to use. Is it relevant this week? Maybe not, but I found this cool thing that'll be great for my unit in, October. That thing that I do, they're gonna love this, it'll be great. So current events short takes. We've also got reading aloud. And I don't want you to think, well, that's for English teachers only. It's not. And she gives us great advice in here about reading aloud. Students need to hear it. I mean, this is why we read to our babies. This is why we read to our little kids every night, so that they can go to sleep with fun thoughts, but also so they can see text and hear it. Okay. And if it's quite a complex text or something pretty difficult, you're going to either want to break it up in a group where at least someone can handle it, or you want to read it to them and stop along the way to ensure understanding. But again, it doesn't have to be long. Getting it visually. This is fabulous. Go visit a librarian. They can find you all these things. Say, I need something for. They might be able to find you some political cartoons, some infographics, all kinds of stuff. Because even analyzing one frame of drawing that has meaning, you are helping students read. Let's see, entering the blogosphere. How many of you feel confident getting a blog for your kids? Come on, young ones, come on. No? Okay. You knew I was pointing at you, right? Yeah. I'm so glad you know. Ooh, kid blog. Nice. So the kids make their own blogs in your class? This is Dean Goss. They use kid blog.
Yes. It's like about $50 a year. I share it with another teacher because you can have like up to 200 kids on there. And then it's all controlled in that area. So, I mean, it's not going to go out to everybody else, but it's in that classroom. So they can share within the classroom. They can just share to just you.
I love that. It's authentic, but we're not at risk of being exposed to the public out there. That's pretty, right. That's nice. It's sheltered, protected, but still authentic. Love that. Thanks for sharing, Dean Goss.
Yep.
Let's see. And then unlocking challenging texts. There really are. You don't have to be an English teacher or a literacy or instructional anything or specialist. You can actually have small groups tackle things together. You can do it, and she tells you how. It's okay. You don't have to be an expert in reading to get kids to read. So today, let's take a moment. Okay, I emailed you all access to a Google Drive. If you love it, great, use it. I'll be adding things for each session in there. But I've got 4 articles that are kind of current events that I might use in my math class, or I might use in my history class. So what I'd like you to do is I want you to ask yourself, how might texts like these help students in my content area? But I want you to just pick one, okay? So choose one of these articles, either through the Google Drive I sent or the direct link I sent you in an email. Does everyone have that? Okay, pick one, and then read over it. If you don't finish it because you're not a speed reader, it's okay, but it should at least help you see, oh, kids would probably be interested in this. You can usually tell on the first 5 or 6 lines. So, and if you'd like to open it on a split screen, whatever, if you need any help with that, let me know. Just don't leave your Zoom. Go look at the article and then we'll be, I'll give you some quiet reading time. Okay. About 3 minutes, pick your article and look it over.
Shayna, is this the one you're wanting us to read?
No, I just picked one
Okay.
for myself.
Okay.
And then, sorry. So you get the idea, keep reading. I'm going to send you back into your breakout groups. And even if you didn't read the same article, I'd like you to discuss how you can see your age group, your content area students, just share out how you think they would respond to getting something like this, when you might use it, etc. The question is this: how might texts like these make my content area seem more interesting and relevant to my students? Okay, I'm sending you out. Take 5 to 6 minutes. I want everyone to kind of brainstorm, okay? Okay, so I butted in on a couple meetings, a couple of your talks, and you guys already have some pretty fun ideas. So would someone like to unmute? How can Gladerator Gatorade or some opinion piece on Harper Lee's new novel, not new, how could those type things, opinion pieces, I mean, mathematicians and blue crabs, how could this possibly make your content area more relevant or interesting to your students? What are some ideas you guys came up with?
They're good hooks and starters for those stories. They're, you know, good attention getters.
I agree.
You know, there's probably some kids that would enjoy being able to have a job that would allow them to do the very same thing. So, but at the very least, it's going to get the kids talking, and it definitely builds engagement. And if they came to class and found that every day there was something that might pique their interest, I think they'd probably be engaged better.
You know, it kind of says something, doesn't it? That there's an article published in, it was either what, the New York Times or Washington Post, about math and crabs. What? People talk about this in the real world? Yeah, they do. They do. You can too. You know, it's kind of that interesting, I mean, kids, if you asked one of my students, you know, does everyone do drugs? Yeah, everyone does drugs. Well, because that's the bubble they know. You ask another one of my students, does everyone read books incessantly? Oh yeah. When I get in trouble, they have to take the book away from me and then I get really upset. So we only know our bubble. So if you keep exposing kids to this is out there in the world, it's not just me, crazy old lady pushing books. This is out there in the world. I think it's, you know, it's kind of fun. And we can find articles on all kinds of things. I mean, ancient findings with music, you know, like here's this cool thing they found in a dig. It looks like it's a musical piece. Who wants to try to play it? You know, just fun stuff like that. So, okay. So if we do believe that in fact, relevant texts and current events are going to be helpful to us, these are some ways that our author says we can incorporate them each day. So we've got, and of course you guys can invent new things as well, but here are some tried and true, like these are things that have been done and typically work. We can begin class each day, right? Short piece. We could have it posted up. It could be very short. We could read it to them, or they could open their laptops and quickly read it and do a little response. Use them to introduce a lesson. Create reading breaks during the lesson to recapture. So we're doing this thing with this pretty hard stuff. Push pause on that. And then I want everyone to look at this. We're going to read this funny thing. Now, what do you think about that? Oh, okay, now back to the other stuff. So remember, we've got kids with attention spans, and they're shorter or longer, depending on their age. But even we adults struggle with anything past, you know, an hour, hour 30. Timmy, you and I are ADD special. So we're like, give us 10 minutes. That's it. So we could provide links to articles that students can read during independent reading time or when they've finished their work. So here are some links for further reading. If it's going to be independent, though, you need to be mindful of the difficulty level. Place students in small groups. Have one group member each day responsible for bringing in a current event article the group can discuss. So, you know, Monday through Friday, if it's me, Carrie, Dean, Juanita, well, okay, Juanita's in charge on Monday, I'll bring tomorrow's, etc. And then Friday can be a free-for-all, you know? So that could be one way where you have groups and each person brings something to the group. Think about that piece. It's accountability, it's social, it's my group is depending on me. If I let them down once, but we're, not shameful about it, I bet you we won't let them down again because our group really needed us to bring in an article. Think about that kind of thing where we're learning those 21st century skills about working with a group. Choose a longer article with parts and read one part a day for the week. That's not hard. A lot of our scientific journals and they're all like chunkified if you want them to be. And provide one article a week for everyone to read and discuss. Could be, but give time for it. If you actually give time for it, you're saying it's important and it matters. And I, as the expert, get to ensure there's no misunderstanding. If there's clarification needed or guidance needed, you're there for them for that. Of course, independent reading, if it's, a little bit easier, that's great. Say here, would anyone like to take this home and read it and tell us tomorrow what you thought about it? Then you're going to get other kids interested. Any thoughts on ways to use current event short takes? Did anyone envision another way or another thing you might do from reading the book and kind of looking at it?
I think even some of the harder passages, doing a jigsaw where you give it to different groups of kids and have them read and discuss and then have them come back together. And so instead of having to read the whole article, they get to talk about their part, but hear are the other parts.
So we can become experts in a particular area and be able to discuss it without the burden of the difficult reading all the way through.
Correct.
Yeah, and it's time effective. Yeah, for sure.
Right. Shayna, on page 32, the little sidebar that they have where they have the quotations and the
Hang on,
dialogue.
Timmy. Hang on. Okay, everyone, please turn to 32. Let's follow along with Timmy. Except, of course.
I think that it's just summed up perfect there below the dialogue box.
Read it to us.
Students will never become better readers by filling in worksheets, memorizing steps and strategies, or reading only to answer questions. Readers are created when they engage in the practice of reading. So even if we're giving them 5 minutes a day, if you think 5 minutes times 180, how that will change. And not only that, it talks about how even when they do that, their achievement scores go up on standardized tests because
it's true.
The vocabulary.
So if you read more, you'll be a better reader and then you'll read more. Oh, that's mind-blowing. But now if we can read specifically within our discipline, we get to be experts who are training future, inventors, future biologists, whatever it is. One of my favorite things that we ever did in English, and I was an English teacher over 10 years ago, but we would do a unit short on literary criticism. And so of the books that we had already read throughout the year, they were assigned to find like critics and critical, like literary criticism on those books. And then like decide which they agreed with, what they wanted to argue with, just so they could be exposed not only to the fiction, but also to the critics that are out there. How do others read this, analyze it, and then judge it? And then ultimately they would write their own little piece of literary criticism. Without it being called an essay and it was something they might put in a literary journal. That's all authentic stuff. And we want them to engage having really excellent models so that they can then authentically create and contribute. So once again, these are these 5 suggestions from our book. We played a little bit with current event short takes, but what I would love for you guys to do, we've got 5 minutes left. I want you guys to do something that will actually impact your teaching next year. Every single week, whatever we do, I want it to actually impact a lesson or a unit. So this is not for naught, it is for something. I want you to locate one authentic text, okay? Something you can use with your students to develop complex knowledge of your subject. And then look, which of the 5 paths to authentic reading every day will you utilize? Read aloud, current event short takes, what will you do with it? Come back prepared next week to talk to a partner or small group about why it's an authentic choice and which of the specific purposes and habits listed on pages 17 through 20 this reading would foster. It's not as complex as it sounds, but I just want you to interact with the text while you're interacting with text, planning on having students interacting with text. So you can also refer to page 25 for some possibilities of content area reading formats. But again, think of something that will actually be taught in the classroom next year. Now, find an authentic reading that complements it, goes with it, introduces it, maybe applies it or takes it to the next level, relates somehow. Questions on that? Okay, I'm going to actually send this to you so that you'll have it in your inbox, not just in an email. Okay, so closing rituals. Big ahas. If you, all but one of you, have your little bookmark with you, what is it you already have or would put in for chapter 1 aha takeaway? It should be a phrase, an idea, a word, something to kind of remind you what chapter 1 told you. And then the same thing for chapter 2. Would anyone like to throw something in the chat or tell us what a big aha is or the best word? I used to use this with my English students. What's the best word out of this chapter and why? Don't say the. I lost my chat. Where's my chat? There's chat. Read aloud. Yeah. Honestly, reading strategies aren't bad. Reading strategies are for, are we comprehending? But beyond that, if we're training future, astronomers, we don't need to necessarily do a prediction chart. We don't necessarily, there's something within our discipline that is more appropriate, period. Every teacher can teach reading. What? That's so crazy. Scandalous. All right, guys, here's what we have. We have that it's 3:58. You guys have been with me for 58 minutes doing some fun exchanges. All of your voices and thinking are appreciated. Terry, did you fit all of that in on your bookmark? Tiny writing. Make sure you, get a hold of the next chunk. We're only doing chapter 3 next time because it's focused on writing, and writing is the most complex task because you have to think it, construct it, all that business. So we're going to look at chapter 3 next time. Anyone still hasn't gotten their materials, please call me and harass me. I'll mail it out right now. Okay. All right. Any questions or thoughts before we say goodbye? All right. Well, I can't wait till next time. Who's sharing?
Okay. I do have a question.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with the book. Nothing at all.
Is it how to use Zoom?
It's how to get, I'm just me. Is that what everyone sees?
Actually,
I'm in the chat.
We see us. Oh, you're me in the chat, but we.
Yes. How do you put your name in there?
No, we actually see your name.
Oh, you do? I had no.
I and we'll discuss it in the morning, okay?
All right.
Look at us, we're a community
Hey,
of learners.
Deborah, don't feel bad because I'm kind of technologically inept, so it's all good.
Okay.
All right, you guys have been great. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.